I knew something was wrong the moment she wouldn't look me in the eye. Not when she kissed my cheek that morning, not when she tied her hair into that loose knot I used to adore, not even when she said, "I'll see you tonight." It was in the way her hands trembled over her coffee mug, as if guilt had weight, and in the way she avoided my touch as though my skin burned her. But I never expected that day to be the beginning of the end of our marriage. And I certainly never expected to be standing months later in the back row of her wedding. Her wedding to the man she betrayed me with, watching her world crack open from a single sentence spoken by someone neither of us saw coming. The discovery. Her name was Lila. Soft-spoken. Brighted. The kind of woman you thought would never hurt anyone intentionally. I believed that once. It started subtly. Missed calls, late nights at work, new perfumes, passwords changed for security. She grew distant, distracted, always smiling at something on her phone. "I'm just tired," she said whenever I asked. "Tired of what?" I once pushed. She looked at me as if I'd asked a question I had no right to, like I was intruding into a life she no longer wanted me part of. But nothing prepared me for the moment it all shattered. It happened on a rainy Thursday. Rain so heavy it blurred the windows like a watercolor painting melting away. I had forgotten my car keys at home after leaving for work. Simple mistake. Harmless one. But when I opened the front door, keys still in the bowl, I heard it. A throaty laugh I didn't recognize. A man's voice, deep and intimate. And her whisper, breathless, trembling, the way she used to whisper to me. "Stop, he might come home." I didn't walk. I didn't shout. I simply called her name. "Lila." The house fell silent instantly. I remember the smell first. Her jasmine perfume mixed with the sharp scent of a man's cologne. My heart knew before my mind caught up, and when I saw him step out of the hallway, shirt half-buttoned, eyes wide, everything inside me collapsed. She rushed after him, robe clutched to her chest. "Daniel, please. I can explain." But she couldn't. She didn't need to. The truth stood right in front of me. I didn't hit him. I didn't scream. I simply said, "I think you've already explained enough," and walked out. Some endings happen with explosions. Ours happened with a quiet, breathless breaking. The divorce. The papers came faster than emotions could keep up. She cried during the signing. Real tears, messy ones that stained her face. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. "But you did. I was lonely, we were drifting, he just..." "Stop." My voice cracked, surprising even me. "Don't rewrite it to make it sound romantic." She closed her mouth. Her lover, Evan, waited for her in the car outside the courthouse. I watched her walk toward him, watched the way he held her hand, watched the two of them drive away. That moment hurt almost more than discovering the betrayal. 'Cause it was final. 'Cause she belonged somewhere else now. Not with me. The wedding. Months later, an invitation arrived. Not from her, but from her mother. Soft envelope. Elegant gold lettering. My name spelled perfectly as if nothing had changed. "Lila and Evan invite you to join them in celebrating their union." I stared at it for an hour. Why would her mother send this to me? Did she think I was made of stone? That I could watch the woman I loved marry the man who destroyed us? But a strange part of me, small, wounded, searching for closure, decided to go. Maybe I needed to see the ending to finally let go. The ceremony was held at a vineyard outside the city. White chairs, roses, carefully curated happiness. I stood in the back, unnoticed, unseen. She looked beautiful, of course she did. Her dress flowed like water. Her smile, though bright, didn't touch her eyes the way it used to. Guilt has a way of dimming even the brightest faces. When she saw me, her smile faltered just for a heartbeat. But she didn't look away. Maybe she wanted me to see she was happy. Maybe she wanted to prove something. Maybe she wanted forgiveness. I didn't know anymore. The ceremony was ordinary, emotional for them, agonizing for me. And then came the reception. And the sentence. The one that froze her blood. The guest's revelation. I wasn't planning to stay long. I lingered near the exit, finishing a glass of something I couldn't taste. People avoided my eyes. Everyone knew who I was. The ex-husband. Casualty. And then I saw him. A guest I didn't recognize. Mid-40s, sharp-eyed, with a restless sort of energy. He approached the groom first, shaking his hand firmly. "You clean up well, Evan," the man laughed. "Never thought I'd see the day." Evan forced a smile. "Glad you could make it, Chris." But the man wasn't looking at Evan anymore. His eyes shifted to Lila. And something changed in his expression. "Oh," he said slowly, almost thoughtfully. "So you're the woman from the cabin." The music didn't stop, but the air did. Lila's smile vanished. What cabin?" she whispered. Evan went pale. Chris laughed casually, unaware he'd just detonated a bomb. "You know, the cabin you two used last winter. The one you rented under your coworker's name. Cute little place. I saw you there when I went hiking with my wife. Didn't want to interrupt, but, well, guess I can talk about it now." He raised his glass as if making a toast. "To the happy couple." Silence rippled outward like a shockwave. Everyone around them stared. Because winter was months before I discovered the affair. Months before she claimed it just happened, that it was a mistake, that she slipped. My breath caught. She had been lying long before the day I walked in. This wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a relationship. A deliberate betrayal. Her face drained of color. She whispered, "Chris, please, not here." But damage doesn't wait for convenient timing. Evan looked at her with dawning horror. "You told me he didn't know," he hissed. Evan, I was going to." "You said you weren't lying to me anymore," he snapped, stepping back. "You said it started after you two separated emotionally." She reached for him. He moved away. Guests murmured. Discomfort. Pity. And for the first time that night, her eyes found mine. Not with triumph, not with remorse, but with despair. As if she realized too late that the truth always surfaces. Even buried lies rot their way upward. I didn't stay. I placed my empty glass on a table and turned toward the exit. But before I stepped out, she called my name. Broken. "Daniel." Pause. For a moment, she looked like the woman I once loved. Frightened, lost, full of a regret that weighed heavier than her dress. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "For everything." I nodded once. Not forgiving. Not cruel. Just finished. "You should say that to your husband," I said. And walked away. Ending. As I drove home, the vineyard lights shrinking in the rearview mirror, I felt something strange. Not triumph. Not satisfaction. Not revenge. Just release. The version of her I loved had died long before the divorce. All that remained were shadows and echoes of promises that once felt unbreakable. Heartbreak teaches you things. That betrayal doesn't define your worth. That trust can be rebuilt, but sometimes only with someone new. That closure doesn't come from answers, but from accepting the truth. Her wedding was supposed to be her new beginning. Instead, it became her reckoning. And as for me, that night was the first time in a long time I felt light enough to breathe. Because sometimes the hardest endings are the ones that finally free you.